This week, Yamaha introduced a new variant of their Tracer 9, and I think it looks pretty incredible. It takes what was already a great sporty tourer, but just adds some new techie features that I think make it probably now the best bang for your buck if you want something that can cover distance in comfort while still retaining a bit of a sporty side. So in this video, we'll go over the 14 best features of this impressive new bike from Yamaha. Now, the big one is active cruise control. It's not a feature that everybody wants, but I've tried it out on a few bikes now, like the Multistrada V4 and BMW's R1250 RT, and personally, I really like it. Just like you get in a car, it modulates your speed to maintain a distance from the vehicle in front by using a forward-facing radar to measure its position. The idea being that it reduces rider fatigue by reducing the number of inputs, and that allows you to focus your attention on what's happening on the road around you. And I will say, it's not automation, it's not like a driverless experience, it's just another tool that you can use in certain situations, just like regular cruise control, but without having to constantly adjust it when you're in busy traffic. Now, this is the first time that Yamaha have fitted active cruise control to one of their bikes, but it does look particularly good. You get 4 levels of following distance, cornering assist, which prevents sudden changes in speed when the bike is banked over, overtake assist, which makes it nice and smooth when it detects that your indicator is on, and it uses both engine braking and the brakes to slow the bike down. The engine braking being first so that it's nice and gentle, but then it'll apply the brakes if it needs a little more stopping power. But the crazy thing is, it's got electronically adjustable like semi-active suspension, and the active cruise control even ties in with this so that it firms up when the bike's slowing down to stop it pitching forward. That just sounds incredible if you ask me. In fact, on the stopping front, they've got a new braking system that they're calling UBS, or Unified Braking System, and this thing uses the radar, the inertial measurement unit, which gives it lean angles, and then a Bosch hydraulic brake actuation unit. And the idea is to take the data from the radar and the IMU and then deliver the optimal amount of braking power to both the front and rear wheels for any given situation. So they list out 3 main features when it's switched on. Firstly, it'll intervene when it detects an imminent collision, so not like a full collision avoidance system, it won't do it automatically, but it'll just give you more braking power if you're already braking, but it just thinks that you won't stop in time because the radar is detecting that you're closing in too quickly. Secondly, it adjusts the braking forces between the 2 wheels to give you the most stable deceleration, so basically linked braking. That means you'll get a bit of rear if you're on the front brake to balance the bike, and sometimes it'll even give you a bit of front if you use the rear brake pedal. But thirdly, it's cornering sensitive using the inertial measurement unit, so it'll adjust the braking force appropriately when the bike is leaned over. It's also worth adding that you can switch it all off if you so wish. Let's say you're riding on a quicker road and you don't want any intervention, you just want your input and your input only. But especially for riding 2 up with luggage, where, you know, the bike does feel quite weighty and the stopping distance might be a little more difficult to judge, then I'm all for extra safety features like this. Now, one of the things that's a little bit weird about the Tracer 9 is the split TFT display. In a way, I do like that they've tried to kind of retain the twin clock vibe, but obviously with all the electronics, you need some way to manage them, and I think ultimately this halfway house of 2 mini TFTs just didn't really seem to click with the audience. New for 2023 though, we've got a single big slab of a 7-inch TFT, and that makes even more sense now that you've got all the active cruise control stuff, which is going to add more complexity to the menus and also the icons and warnings that you might need on the screen. You also get 3 themes, and the idea is that they all have a slightly different vibe so that there's something to suit all tastes. On top of that, you've now got a new connectivity system, so you can use USB, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi to hook up to your phone, and you can get incoming calls, emails and messages on the dash. Plus, there's the option to control your music and take calls if you're riding with a Bluetooth headset that's also connected. But perhaps the most important feature for a tourer is the integrated navigation, which is powered by the Garmin motorized app, providing you've got your phone hooked up. It's got a full range of features like different routing options, spoken turn-by-turn directions, and the ability to work offline if you're heading somewhere remote without signal. There's also weather data, real-time traffic, and even how far you can get with the remaining fuel on the bike. Still on this bike, you get their 890cc CP3 inline triple engine, so the same as you get on their MT-09 Sports Naked, and this thing is a beautiful engine. 120 horsepower is plenty for this sort of bike, loads of mid-range too, and it's got an awesome soundtrack that makes it a joy to ride when you're smashing up and down the box. Now, I won't go on about it too much here, but there's a full review of the MT-09 which I'll link to in the description, in which I do go on about how much I liked it. Paired with that, you've got their up and down quick shifter, again a joy to use when you're riding in a more sporty manner, and it only brings out that side of the engine still further. But new in this particular model is its pairing with the ACC. So yes, if the cruise control slows you down or speeds you up based on the traffic in front, you can knock it up or down a gear without the ACC disengaging, which is a great feature. Some bikes don't even get that with regular cruise control, and I've always found it a bit annoying. Now, on the electronics front, you get an update to the suite of riding modes. So previously you'd have to dial in the individual rider aids like engine power, traction control, slide control, lift control, the suspension damping, but now it's fully integrated with the three main riding modes. So there's sport, street and rain, and they all get factory settings that suit the particular riding style. But also there's a fourth custom mode should you want to dial in the settings specifically to your tastes. Now, I mentioned the electronic suspension. It's called CADS or KYB automatic damper system, and this is the latest generation, which they say offers the best performance but also a super comfortable ride. So it uses the data from the inertial measurement unit to constantly adjust the damping in real time, and that gives the right response for the riding style and the current road conditions. But on top of that, the rider can also choose between a sport or comfort setting just to give the suspension an overarching flavor on top of that real-time constant damping adjustment. And it's worth saying again that it's integrated into the riding modes, but also the active cruise control and the unified braking system, and that's intended to control the behavior of the bike for when it does get on the brakes or speed up. Speaking of the brakes, they've fitted a bigger rear disc, so that's up by 9% to 267 millimeters. Plus there's a new caliper design and a new pedal, and so presumably you've got a little bit more power there, and that's always a good thing when you're riding fully loaded, 2 up with luggage, to have plenty of rear to balance out the braking. Now, the saddle gets a new shape and new padding for more comfort. There's new leather on the seat as well to give it more of a quality feel. The switchgear gets a new design with a wider range of functions available on the bike, plus they're backlit, which is a big must for me. And then you've got an adjustable windscreen with 10 positions, heated grips with 10 levels of toastiness, the option for a heated seat accessory both front and rear with again 10 levels, and then there's LED lighting all round with cornering sensitivity, so they illuminate the inside of the turn, which of course increases safety. And I'm looking at the spec sheet for this thing thinking that there's nothing really lacking, maybe like blind spot warnings from a rear facing radar, but really it's got most of the features you want, almost all of the goodies, and on top of that this banging engine and chassis. So what's left? As always though, I'd love to know what you guys think of it down in the comments below. And if you want to see more of the latest bikes that were announced at this year's incredible EICMA show, then check out this playlist where you can see them all, including the walkarounds we shot in person at the show. And if you're new here and you want to see more motorcycle news like this right here on YouTube, then hit subscribe and we'll catch you in the next one.